What's up, guys? Welcome back. So today I'm gonna be working on installing some Brembo calipers onto the first gen CRV, the old CR Yeater. And yes, this is a stock spindle. I do have a 1/4 inch. It's a wheel spacer because it'll need it even with my concave wheels. I don't know if it fits stock wheels or not, but I know it doesn't fit my teehees. This caliper is off of a Hyundai Genesis Coupe. It's a rear caliper. I did have to do a slight bit of modifications to make it fit, but otherwise it does bolt directly on. So this is a stock rotor for the CRV. You can see how it fits on there. All right. Now these pads in this are used, and I don't know if you had a full life pad if they would fit, because you can see it's pretty tight in there. I'm assuming that the Hyundai rotor is not as wide as the CRV. You can see there is a gap in there, so once the fluid hits it and presses them in, it will be good to go. It bolts on using the stock bolts. The bit of modification I had to do was, you see how this leg sticks in? I had to trim that down to be able to get it to where it would clear the rotor. So if we look over here, this is the other caliper. And so basically what I did is, you can see how that leg sticks out there and see how it protrudes past the pad. So what I did was just grind it down to where it was even with the pad, and then it worked on the CRV. The threads in there are the same for the OEM bolt. I haven't figured out the brake line yet, but we'll cover that at some point in this video. So right now, what I gotta do is grind down the two tabs. Let's see. You can see all the shavings from where I did the other one. Grind this one down and this one down. And to do that, I'm just using one of these little bits here and there, and just grinding it down. All right, so since that last clip, I did get these ground down on this caliper. This is the one that I was just showing, and went ahead and got it mounted up on the CRV. So now we have both of them mounted up on here, and I was able to figure out the brake lines. Super complicated. Just reuse a stock line. Look at this. It's got plenty of slack in it. Uses the original CRV bolt, CRV crush washers. This one's still a little damp just because of the brake fluid that came out whenever I took it off the original caliper, and I just haven't cleaned it up. So yeah, original brake lines would work. I know that there are other available braided brake lines, and I may do that because, see, mine are not in the best condition. I noticed that the other day when I was doing this one, and this one is kind of cracking too. These are probably original. You know, on this one I have rear disc brakes, so they're not original brakes on the rear either. And on this, I have Honda Element brake hoses. So I found a guy, Josh Luck at Finishing Lines. He sells brake lines, and he has several different colors and that kind of stuff, and he can make them to my requirements. So I may be looking at getting some of those. I may just put some more stock rubber lines on the front for now. This thing's not a track car, so it doesn't really necessarily need a high performance brake line that doesn't expand like the rubber. But you know, I don't know, be a road we have to cross here shortly, because I don't want to take it all the way up to the tail of the Dragon again with these front brake lines. I don't feel like that's safe having those little cracks in there, even though it's probably been like that for a while and I was just oblivious. I was trying to bleed them out earlier today. Actually spent probably about an hour trying to bleed them out. Couldn't get them to bleed, couldn't get any fluid. Dang, this freaking lights in here killing my camera. But I couldn't get any fluid to come out of the calipers at all. And so I took the lines off of the calipers. Couldn't get any fluid out of the lines. So now I just disconnected the master cylinder and pumped the pedal, and nothing's coming out there either. So I've got another upgrade I want to do while I'm at it too. This is a 13/16 size piston in that. That will have the stamp on there. But that's a 13/16, and this one is a 1 inch. This is off of like an Integra. Hopefully it is still good. So that'll give us a little more braking pressure and hopefully help us out some. Now, one thing to note is the brake line is on this side rather than this side, like it's oriented on here. So what I've got to do is just rebend that one line just where it comes up over here. It's not that big of a task really, just use a little brake line bender and just be easy with it. But I do need to make sure that my airbox is going to clear it, because if my airbox is not going to clear it, then I will go grab another stock master cylinder and put on there. So I just got this master cylinder off, and we could see why it wouldn't do nothing. Piston is stuck. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and swap this. I am gonna try to swap this reservoir because it's in better shape than that one, because it's been sitting out in the weather and this one hasn't. All right, so I just got finished putting this master cylinder on. I did take it apart and clean it out internally, but now it seems to be working well. And so I did rebend this line. I just hand bent it to where it would go to this side rather than the other, and it's nice sweeping motion and not kinked and none of that mess. So got that on there, and then I went ahead and bled the brakes. They bled out beautifully, so that's good. I'm really stoked on that. So heck yeah. Now we have a bigger master cylinder to support the much different brake system that's on this thing. That originally 13/16 master cylinder was intended to use those smaller single piston front calipers and rear drum brakes. But on this rig, we've got rear disc brakes and now the Brembo calipers on the front that are 4-piston. So larger braking system, and now we have a bigger braking capability with the 1-inch master cylinder as opposed to the 13/16. So heck yeah. So since pads and the brake lines were in such poor shape, I did go ahead and order some new ones from Rock Auto, because they had stuff on closeout over there and I got some really good deals on it. So I don't know, maybe they still have that going on or something. I don't know. It's actually been probably a couple of weeks since I ordered those. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and see if I can put a full pad on here and put the new brake lines on and go ahead and get it back in tip-top shape. And I know they work. I've been driving it around. I drove it to Tennessee and back with the poor brake line, but I did take the brake lines with me in the event that you know, one started leaking, I could replace it, but didn't have any issues out of those. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace them though, just to make sure she's all good to go. I just noticed that my axle boot is ripped. Oh joy. So I guess I'll have to get that fixed too. All right, so I got the Beck Marley lines. And for the pads, I got these. I'm gonna reuse the hardware on here. And the cool thing about Brembos is you don't have to actually remove the caliper to put in new brake pads. You just mash the pistons back in, and then you can knock this pin out. It goes back in this way, and then you can slide the pads in right here directly in. And I've got the brake line replaced. Just got to bleed it, both screws. Brembos do have 2 screws. And put the new pads in and be ready to rock and roll. I was going to go ahead and put these new pads in, but as I suspected, because of the rotor, or the caliper not being center of the rotor, it wouldn't take a full pad on the outside. It would take full pad on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I've got some washers here, some flat washers, and I'm going to put them between the caliper and the bracket here, just to offset it a little bit, and hopefully we'll be able to get a full pad on each side. So now with that, we'll see if this full pad slides in here. It does, so we're good with that. And here's another full pad. When I say full pad, like the pads that came with this caliper are worn, so you can see how that it's worn down as opposed to this one, which is a full pad. So that's what I mean when I say a full pad. So seems like it'll work. So it's not binding, so that's a good thing. And also we can see here on the caliper how the rotor is centered up now. So definitely looks like the washer was the key there, putting that washer between the spindle and the caliper. So make sure you grab you a couple washers. The rotor does spin back and forth. It's in gear and the other wheels are on the ground, so it's not going to spin the full revolution, but it's not binding. So after I spaced that caliper out with that washer, my 5mm spacer wasn't enough to make it clear the caliper. So, or to make the wheel clear the caliper, but now it clears with a 1/4" spacer in there. You're going to have to do some spacers or whatever to make sure that you have ample clearance for your wheels, whatever wheels you may have. And it made it work to where you can get some of those thick spacers that have the lugs built onto them, to where, you know, you actually bolt on your spacer and then bolt your wheel to the spacer. It'll probably work out a little bit better than what I have, because it doesn't have a whole lot of stud sticking out to be able to thread the nut onto. I do have several rounds on there, so I don't fear that it's going to come off or anything like that. Just to be on the super safe side, I would probably look at maybe eventually putting some little bit longer studs on the front, just to be tip-top notch safety, you know. But otherwise, seems fairly well. As always, I appreciate you checking out this video and all the other CRV videos. It really does, you know, give me motivation to continue on to make these videos for you guys. And, you know, hopefully, I really am looking for another CRV to be able to make more content that's relatable, that's like a stock B series or something that I can do little fixes and that kind of stuff too, and really be more of relatable to the typical CRV community, because I know there's not a lot of K series swapped first gen CRVs. It is what it is, but I guess that's what sets me aside from everyone else. So anyways, like I said, thanks for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Yeah.